Unfortunately, there's been several high number layoffs in multiple industries. So, not just real estate, not just property management, not just residential real estate, home building, etc., but also, government jobs and things of that nature. Airlines, etc. So a ton of people are impacted by just the environment. So with that being said, just as we look to diversify ourselves or diversify our portfolios, we've dove into real estate as investors. And that is very life changing, for us from a knowledge standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint. So for people that are looking for that change, right? That are looking to, maybe not just completely go away from corporate America, but really diversify their portfolio, diversify themselves, and get started in real estate, women in particular, right? What advice would you give them on how to get started in real estate, especially when they're going through so much right now mentally with
Yeah.
everything that's going on?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, this is a really loaded question, so feel free to like dig into any points that I don't go deep enough into. First, prevention is the best medicine, right? So while you do have a great job, stack up on as many opportunities as you can. If well, okay. First. So one and one. Number one, take seize the opportunity to right now, and then simultaneously make sure you understand your pathway. There are a lot of ways to be in real estate. You can own rental properties within that particular niche. You might do group homes, or you might do living assisted living facilities, or you might do um Section 8, right? So there's a lot of different categories for specific niches. So if you're looking to create a rental portfolio and you are still employed, this is a great time because now you have some of that cash and that good W-2 money to lean on, right? So that's where I would start if rental portfolio was your end goal. If you I will say real estate is still a job. It still takes work. There are varying levels of work. You could do a rental portfolio in which you're going to have to identify the property. You're going to have to make sure that the numbers work. You're going to have to maintain that property. You're going to have to vet tenants. There is a level of work there. Once it's done, you have to know what your cash flow numbers are going to be and ask yourself, is that worth it? Right? If you're going for cash flow to supplement your income, do the numbers work? Or is this more of an equity play? Is it an opportunity for you to retire in the future by refinancing or selling these properties in the future? You have to kind of have a strategy there. Or maybe you want to do something that's more active. You want to become a real estate agent, or you want to become a developer or a builder. Well, what is your capacity for that? And then how much cash flow do you have? How much do you need? So for instance, I moved down here to Houston because I wanted to be a real estate developer. And that sounds very sexy and everybody wants to be a real estate developer, but it's really hard. And the key is you don't get paid oftentimes unless you raise the money, or B, until the deal sells. So what does that look like for you in your situation? Do you have the funds to not collect a check for 12 months? Do you need to sell that car with $1,000 car note so that you can have some extra capital in your pocket while you're learning the rules of the road to building and development? Like, those are real tough questions that you have to ask yourself. And how feasible is it for you to maintain your life, your social life, your family life, and a job while becoming a developer? Is that something that is likely? Those are questions you have to ask there. On the other end, you could get into something that is a lot more passive. So for me, I raise money from everyday people, friends and family, that want to just put their money in and get a check at the end of the project, right? That could be an opportunity. And you have to consider, okay, what's my risk versus reward here? And how much do I want to be involved or not involved? Am I okay with somebody else making all the big decisions and just going with whatever they feel is best? So there's a lot of ways to get involved in real estate, but you need to know, like, you need to be real with yourself and establish your game plan. You need to know what you're willing to give up. because you're probably going to have to give up something. And then you need to know what strategy is going to be best. And we didn't even go into like short-term rentals. Like short-term rentals are great, but are you willing to take the risk of policy changing in various cities? Do your numbers still work if you can't rent it out short term and you need to go to a regular rental strategy? Do you want to be in charge of talking to guests every day, all day? Or do you think that you can outsource that? And if you do outsource it and it doesn't work out, are you comfortable being in charge of that? So there's a lot to it to kind of establish your personal game plan.
I love it. I love it. So, and that's very real, right? I think you're very, very real and transparent because everyone wants to do some form of real estate and feel that it is, easy to get into, which in some capacities it can be, right? But you learn a lot of lessons and trials and tribulations when you get into it if you don't a plan and have a strategy. So, really what I heard from what you said is sit with yourself. Sometimes you have to really sit with yourself, um, understand what your strengths and your opportunity areas are, right? And be very transparent with the person within, which is yourself. From there, it is coming up with a game plan and a strategy from what I heard you just say by doing your research, understanding the different landscape of real estate, the different avenues of real estate, and what part or lane in real estate is going to truly match your situation and truly match your strengths that you have and you bring to the table. So great points. I think that really segues into, really
I
my next
jogged
question.
my memory on a couple other things.
Go ahead.
I would also say finding your community or your team, right? Because real estate is a team sport. You should not do it by yourself, especially when you're new. So if you don't have a realtor, if you don't have someone who's great with finance, if you don't have connections to contractors, if you don't have, all of the components that you're going to need to be successful with whatever pathway you go for, you need to find a community that can provide you that support, those people, and that information. And then also, I would recommend for anybody who's like just getting started, the safest purchase is your home. In my opinion, I know that your home isn't technically an asset, but if you're gonna have to pay bills somewhere, you might as well be building equity. Now, even then, you're gonna have some things that you need to be concerned about. You need to be concerned about the rise of insurance and of property taxes and maintenance for your home. But you can also house hack. So you can buy a multi-unit and rent out the other units. You can also rent out rooms. I think we've gotten to this place where it's like, nobody wants to have a roommate, but to be realistic, that is probably the fastest, easiest way to raise the money that you're going to need to get into a bigger investment. So if you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and it's just you living there, rent out the rooms. And you can do that. There's a platform now called Peer Space, which is not Peer Space, I'm sorry, Pad Split, which is great. There's a ton of options and people have to get a little scrappy.